Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for attending the Oracle Digital Assistant webinar. Thanks for joining our quarterly webcast. I'm Jürgen Kress, part of the product management team. In case you missed one of our webcasts, on-demand recordings are available at Oracle Video Hub, including presentation for download. In today's presentation, Robbie Jones will give us an update on Oracle Digital Assistant and the latest news from Oracle CloudWorld. Good morning, Robbie.
Good morning, Jürgen. How are you? Welcome back.
So we had an astonishing week in Las Vegas. What was your favorite from the conference last week?
Oh, probably watching you juggle multiple customers and partners and work your magic.
Thank you very much. And from keynotes and from the product perspective?
Oh, you're stealing my thunder. I'm going to highlight what Mr. Ellison did on stage.
Cool. So we are looking forward. So with Oracle Digital Assistant, customized bots can be developed or pre-built SaaS skills and templates, for example, for HCM or Oracle Service can be leveraged and extended. Skills and templates are available for almost all SaaS services, including HCM, service, sales, expenses, logistic, or industry solutions or Oracle applications. Objective of the call is to update you on the latest Oracle Digital Assistant functionality. We host this webinar each quarter, so let's get started. Quick housekeeping, today's session is live and this presentation is being recorded. Please feel free to post your questions via the conference Q&A tool in the Zoom console. At the end of the webcast, we will answer them. Slides and an on-demand webcast will be posted at Oracle Video Hub. We will post announcements and links in the conference chat. Please complete the survey at the end of the webinar. As we will present product roadmap details, please pay attention to the Oracle Safe Harbor statement. Please do tweet and blog about products and services which are available today. Quick agenda. So I will start with some quick announcements and then hand over to Robbie for the product announcements and news about generative AI and conversational AI. And we answer your questions at the end of the webcast. We published the latest Oracle Digital Assistant customer newsletter. The summer edition is available. If you're not yet a subscriber, please hit the button now. To test Oracle Digital Assistant, you can make use of the free trial for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and provision your own Oracle Digital Assistant instance. The trial is valid for up to 30 days. Make use of the documentation. As part of the documentation, you get a Get Started guide and many examples, including the live labs to build your own digital assistant. As part of the documentation, you can use Arti. Arti is a bot that answers your questions about Oracle Digital Assistant. On the documentation page, on the lower right corner, you can activate Arti. Who are the Digital Assistant experts who can help you with your projects? Go to Partner Finder and search for certified partners on Oracle Digital Assistant. Or at Cloud Marketplace, you can also search for Digital Assistant, and you can also look up additional skills like the Intra-C bot for universities. You want to collaborate? You would like to connect? Please join us on Cloud Customer Support. There you can start conversations, you can submit your innovations, and you can earn badges. Today's webcast is recorded and will be published at Oracle Video Hub. With this short introduction, over to you, Robbie.
Great. So, Jürgen, that question you'd asked me, my favorite session, probably Mr. Ellison concluding his keynote, or I shouldn't say probably, definitely Mr. Ellison concluding his keynote on stage with ODA, the Oracle Digital Assistant, and a tool that the healthcare group that we've built called the Clinical Digital Assistant. So using, and just to let you read right here, but integrated with Oracle's electronic health record solutions, the new Clinical Digital Assistant enables providers to leverage the power of generative AI. So generative AI was a theme that all of us saw throughout the conference, partners, customers, Oracle itself, all the different products, all the different solutions how we're harnessing Gen AI. And that's some of the things that we'll be talking about today. So other things at the conference, if we go on to the next slide, we had a number of panel sessions. So I've got a slide coming up here with some of the customers, but folks like Office Depot, James Cook University, Houlihan Lokey, also LinkedIn and Intermedia, University of Pittsburgh, Medical Center, Razor, Network Rail. These folks all shared how they're using ODA, the benefits they're getting from ODA, some of the new features that they've been trying out in limited availability. So they either were up on stage, some of them presented remotely, but it was great seeing from customers firsthand, not only hearing it from Oracle, but also just hearing it from people in the trenches using it and getting benefits. So this is from the syllabus of the conference. So we had a number of these panel sessions, AI generation of chatbots, also being able to revolutionize conversational assistance with Gen AI, and also doing self-service automation in a digital first. We also had a number of hands-on labs. These were pretty well attended. One that was very, very short and sweet. And I do want to point out that these are all on our what's called the Live Labs Oracle training portal. This is a free running training center that's available to you 365 days a week, 24/7. So you did not have to go to CloudWorld if you were interested in these type of hands-on labs. But the one that was really well received, and I think part of it is because you could do it in 30 minutes or less, but it is using what we've been calling SQL dialogues. Basically being able to have a conversation with your database without knowing SQL. And this has been a topic that we've been presenting on these calls over the last 9 to 10 months. It went GA at the first of the year, and as some of you on the call have tried out last year in a limited availability, but just how easy it is to create intentless skills. So just pointing ODA to a database and using the power of Gen AI, being able to go out and create the SQL behind the scenes. So when when somebody says, "Hey, tell me the number of all the employees in the Big Apple," ODA is able to pull that back, pull that information. We also had a hands-on around configuration inside of PeopleSoft for those who are wanting to enable the Picasso chatbot that comes with that's available in PeopleSoft. Then we also had another lab that ties in other AI services within the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. In that case, that's if you're interested in sentiment analysis and also some vision detection and language detection, that was another lab that we had. And then there was also a learning session that was very well received as well. Thanks to Jorgen, we had some wonderful partner sessions. Jorgen, what was your favorite highlight from our partner summit that you and I did? And I may have caught Jorgen off guard there, but it was good to see a number of partners present not only what was working well, but some of the things that they would like improvement from our team. We had a theater session. I presented with Network Rail and our system integrator, Box Fusion. Time permitting, at the end of this call, I'll actually show a very neat and engaging, perhaps one of the most engaging chatbots that I've seen. But being able to pull up in Google Maps the precise location of where a train disaster emergency has occurred. It's a very neat use case. And again, some of the customers that we had on stage in panels presenting with us, just to repeat, Office Depot, LinkedIn, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Intermedia, Houlihan Lokey, and Network Rail. This is just a subset, but really wanted to give a shout out to them and thank them for traveling and the work they did on presenting on stage with us. So here, I'd like to transition a little bit to some of the features that we announced and go a little bit deeper. And as we saw before, the safe harbor statement. If you're not familiar with this graph, we did show this. We showed this on one of the previous calls as well. The main thing that this graph is conveying is the amount of effort. If you look at it from the very bottom line, the developer effort over time, things are becoming easier for the developer using Gen AI. At the top line, this is the end user. The value is radically, exponentially, it's increasing. So as advancements continue to happen in this field, things are becoming easier for the developer and they're becoming more powerful for the end user. So this is leading to a large number of new use cases. This is just a subset of them, but using Gen AI, and we've already talked about some of them, being able to generate SQL behind the scenes, for example. So we've been doing this for 18 months now. But some of the other things that have come to the forefront, and we're going to look at examples of these, but being able to generate content. So maybe I'm going to create a new job opening and being able to generate the content for that. Search and chat, the whole paradigm of search has changed. So, if we go back 18 months ago, and we used our favorite search engine and we typed in, how do I create a job rec? We'd get back 3 or 4 links, or I should say, we'd get back hundreds of links. We'd probably click on the first 3 or 4 and then parse, you read each of those and realize, hey, is this the content I want? So we're seeing how that whole paradigm has changed. And I'll show you an example of that as well, and how we've expedited and made that a lot more efficient. Copilot. So being able to have a chatbot sitting next to us as I navigate my daily tasks. That's another thing, another use case that we're seeing. And micro conversations. Just, maybe within a specific field on a form, I want to be able to ask a chatbot or have the chatbot proactively say, hey, Robbie, that value seems a little high for this job rec that you're trying to open up. These are just some of the things, some of the use cases. Now, what we should be thinking about is, with the power of these large language models and this Gen AI, how can we, how does that apply to our existing landscape? So hopefully this diagram is familiar with everyone. On the left-hand side, these are your applications, your databases. They can be on-prem, they can be in our cloud, they can be in third-party clouds, as long as they have a REST interface. What you want is on the far right-hand side, things like text, Facebook Messenger, Slack, MS Teams, Alexa, your mobile phone, your web page, etc. You want to be able to have conversations with those apps. And in the middle, these are our skills. These are the single-purpose chatbots that Oracle Digital Assistant routes to when you say, hey, Alexa, what's my vacation balance? And then the next question is, hey, Alexa, tell me where the status of my order is. So this is the landscape that we've been working with in the last 8 years. But how do we tie in, or how do we blend in some of those new powers of Gen AI? And that's what this slide talks to. So SQL dialogues, I just described that. And again, this has been in general availability since the first of the year. And some of you on the call have been using it for even longer, because we've been working on this for 18 months and we had limited availability of it over. So we've talked about this on a number of calls, so I'm not going to go into SQL dialogues any further, But I do want to talk about some of the new things. And this was to much applause at CloudWorld, but the new features that we have around knowledge dialogues and LLM blocks. And I'll go into detail a little bit about LLM blocks now. And I'm going to start with a demo of it. I'm just going to pause this movie for one moment. So the persona here, I'm wearing the hat of a sales rep, and I don't want to have to log into every one of these accounts. So I should say when I'm in my sales dashboard, I get a list of all the accounts, and I could drill down and try to parse and figure out what I need to do today. Or better yet, in the interest of time, I could just pull up ODA, and I could ask it, hey, can you summarize the opportunity at the American Sporting Good? And what it will do is it will go back, it will go through, and it will parse that information. And using the generative AI, the summarization capability of a large language model, pull in all the information from that and present to me just a nice little concise snippet of what is going on there. So I get, who my contact information is, the deal value, the win probability, and some key metrics that I need to take place of. Again, I don't have to drill into the opportunity itself, figure this all out. So basically, it's essentially saving me a lot of time. So it creates this little concise statement, and then the next thing I can do is I can say how many high-level service requests were logged by the customer in the last 60 days. Now, note here that this information is not in a sales type of dashboard. It's not in a CRM. It's in a it's in a different app. So it can go out and get that information and pull that back for me. So now I want to send an email. I'm going to ask ODA, hey, send an email to the elemental design team that congratulates them and lets them know that they should talk strategy. And here it's going to use the power of a large language model to do content generation. So here it goes and creates an email, and it gives me the option to revise it before I send it. And this is all using Oracle Digital Systems. So I'll just skip forward here. We could send it directly. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to switch personas, switch hats. The content generation is also useful when the example I used before is, hey, I want to create a job listing or a job rec. So now I'm in a different portal. I'm wearing a different hat. I want to create a job rec. And this is my standard human capital management system where I come in. And I'm going to say, hey, create a new job. And notice that there's an auto-generate button. So it goes out based on some of the values I've entered already, and it'll go create the job listing. And I'll just skip forward through it. At the end of it, it'll say, hey, notice that there's a refine button. So maybe this is a little too static, and what I can do is I can say, please rewrite that and use the values of, or maybe rewrite it in a funny tone. And it will go through and rewrite it. In this case, hey, I say, integrate the core values of integrity and teamwork and ethics, and it goes through and rewrites it. So those are the kind of the runtime demos. What I want to show you is how easy it is to actually do that within ODA itself. So within the console, we have a new service, and it's an LLM service. This is a bring your own model. So in this particular case, we are using, this can be OpenAI, Cohere, Bard. We've written an interface layer for the various large language models. So it's just as simple as creating a new service, entering in your endpoint, and how you authenticate into it. And then within the Visual Flow Designer, notice that there's a component now called Invoke Large Language Model. We call this the LLM blocks. So within Visual Flow Designer, you can add this new block. And then here, within the LLM block, we can pass it a prompt. And we can say, please generate a job description for the role. And the role here is something that we passed in. And create it in the location. And also that's something that we had entered in the screen when we were filling out the job rec, with the experience, years, et cetera, et cetera. That passes it to the LLM. It creates that job description and then passes it back to you. So we have all, I shouldn't say fearfully, but many of us are worried about hallucinations and LLMs running amok. So we've taken a great deal of energy and time and resources to put in guardrails that help create a more safe usage of large language models. So one of the things that we do is we help prevent prompt leakage. So making sure that prompts cannot be maliciously injected in this. And we'll show you some examples of this as well. We're going to validate the output of the response, and as well as the input. And we're going to validate that. This last one's, I think, a lot easier to show through a demo. So notice here on this screen. So now we're switching over to knowledge dialogue. So this is another new feature that we announced. It is one of the neatest things, I think, coming out of CloudWorld was the interest in this. So if you think about the examples that we showed and talked about with SQL dialogues, doing that against a database, what if instead you had structured or unstructured data sitting either on your file system or in a knowledge base and PDFs and web pages and Word docs, and being able to have that same type of everyday conversation with documents. And this is what we're calling knowledge dialogues. So I think another way to think about it, very similar to SQL dialogues, but instead of a database, you're going against PDFs or Word docs or web pages. So you can have these everyday conversations with your knowledge base. And I'll show you an example. Let's actually just play this movie here. So here I'm going to pause this, but the persona that I'm logging in, I'm an employee and I want to make some changes to my 401k. So after I've logged in, I can say, hey, change my 401k contribution. And it'll come back. Do you want to change by percentage or amount? And I'll say by amount. Now, because I've logged in, it knows my age. And now what it's able to do, it's able to go out and parse and understand the various documents that determine my 401k contributions and pull those together, summarize those in a pertinent and concise manner. So it'll ask me, please enter the contribution value. And now I'm going to ask ODA, what is my annual limit? And it says, since I'm 54, I'm eligible to make a catch-up contribution for this amount. And now I'm going to ask a different question. What is the company matching policy? Now, this question here itself is probably not answered in the same document or on the same part of the portal. So now it has to go out and tie in information coming from another document, get that answer, and provide that result. And all this specific to my age. Had I logged in as someone a lot younger, the contribution amounts are different. And that is part of the power here. So from a runtime I should say that was the runtime experience. The design time, it's quite simple. So in the ODA console, under additional services, we now have a new tab called Conversation to Knowledge. And this is a very quick and easy configuration here, but basically all you do is you create a new knowledge group, and then you can either point it or upload a number of documents, again, structured or unstructured, even a zip file, and it will go through and parse that and behind the scenes create the metadata. And that's really it. Now, what we're showing here is in the example that I showed before about 401k, this is from our actual 401k document at Oracle. So this is what it parsed. This is what the large language model has been trained for. And instead of sending me back a link where I would have had to read all this, it created a concise, short, succinct summary of it. And that's all that there is that's needed to make knowledge dialogues work. So I put this in because now what I'm going to do is talk about some of the things at CloudWorld that we announced that are forward future roadmap. So everything that I've talked about before is either in general availability, in limited availability, or soon to be, meaning this coming within the next 30 days. Now, something further out from that. So we do have some features that we announced and talked about, and I just want to briefly go over some of those. So these are some things that we've been working on using, again, harnessing the power of these large language models. So what if I want to create an assistant from scratch? So we have the concept of an agent that we're working on. So maybe I have an API to an application, and I just want to be able to ingest that API and have ODA go through, create the skills, the entities, the intents, do everything for me, and actually act on my behalf. And that's the concept that we have of an agent. Then that kind of bleeds into this generative assistant. You can think of this as a workflow and orchestration, having a skill that is able to do that on my behalf. So if we think about something like, hey, I want to book travel, and then having a generative assistant that understands, okay, there's going to, what are all the questions I'm going to need to ask? When, where, what time do you want to fly? Where do you want to stay? What are those type of things? So having that whole orchestration layer in there, that's another feature that we're working on. And then the Copilot SDK. So this one I've already showed. So this one we've already been working on, but when we were in the job rec field, for example. So being able to give the job rec application, give the developers the ability to have an SDK to call out to ODA when they're in that app and say, hey, generate a job rec for me.
Yeah, Robbie, thank you for the excellent demos. So exciting to see what's going to come on Generative AI and what is already available today. And if you are a partner, please subscribe to the partner newsletter for the latest information and also attend the hands-on training. And the certification is updated for partners, including a free online training and a free online certification. So please make use of it. We do have a couple of questions. So you presented the Oracle CloudWorld sessions. Where can customers and partners find the presentations?
I'm trying to find that question. Is it in the chat or?
It's in the Q&A tool.
Yeah, so if you registered for CloudWorld, you have basically there's a portal for the attendees, and that's where you can find the presentations.
Yep. So
Oh, I see.
content
Thank you.
catalog.
Yes, I see you posted that link. Now I see that.
Yeah, the link is in the Q&A. It's content catalog, and there we will publish also the presentations from CloudWorld and keynotes. You will also be able to watch them on demand in a few days. So you mentioned a digital assistant for healthcare. Is that something which is exclusively available for Oracle Cerner, or can that be used by partners also?
So there's a couple different solutions here. So ODA in general available to everyone. The clinical digital assistant that was just announced, it's not available yet. It will be going into limited availability at some point. I will say sometime soon, and that is for a limited set of medical providers, and that's just the limited availability program.
Okay, so that digital assistant for clinical providers is a nice showcase what is the art of the possible, and everybody, customers and partners, can use the same platform to build such a use case also for other industries like telecommunications or retail banking. Plus, we provide the pre-built SaaS skills.
I like your answer a lot.
Next question is from Srikant. He would like to know where to find the hands-on Oracle Digital Assistant trainings. There are two types of trainings. You can Google Oracle Live Labs. They are free of charge, on-demand trainings, and I will post also the link in the chat in a minute. There you get free online training, including environments and some use cases like Robbie mentioned. Take it, go for it, try it out yourself. And for Oracle partners, we run regular hands-on trainings, which is a one-day event, which are live virtual classes. See the latest newsletter for upcoming events. There's going to be a training next month in South America in Spanish. And we also cover South America, Brazil, and Portuguese next month. Okay.
Thank you. And I just posted the link to Live Labs. But yes, great job. As you mentioned, easiest things to use your favorite search engine and search on the one word Live Labs and Oracle.
Yep. So Robbie, what? No. If you have questions, you can still post them in the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute yourself and you can ask them live. Robbie, we have a question. Where is the right place to find the Oracle documentation?
You have this link on your screen currently here. Documentation, second link, bit.ly/ODA documentation.
Yeah, and let me highlight on the documentation website, there is an Oracle Digital Assistant on the lower right corner. It's called Arti, and you can use that bot to ask any questions about the documentation, for example, which SaaS skills we provide or which languages we support. Okay. So Robbie, that was a fantastic demo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone's time. Have a good day.
If you have further questions, you can reach out to Robbie or myself via social media like LinkedIn, or you find us also on Twitter. You can also contact the whole team around the globe, like Barry for Asia, Robbie supports North America, Leonardo South America, and Joe Wang for digital assistance for SaaS and marketing activities. Thank you for attending today's webcast. We scheduled the next quarterly update webcast for December 13th, and please complete the online survey.